How you doing? This is Mitch with the Native Survival School. Today we're going to set up a traditional bow. Stay tuned. So in front of me I have two traditional bows. I have a 1957 Bear Archery Kodiak recurve, and I have a 2014 Bear Archery Montana longbow. First thing I need to do to set up a traditional bow is to string it up. So my Montana has already been done. Already has a nock point on it. Bow square. Whatever treatment you plan on putting on your shelf, make sure you do it before you set your nock point, because any changes you make here will change your nock location. If you have padding, like a fur rest or a feather rest, it's going to raise up where the arrow sits on the rest. My Montana has been modified with a fur rest on the face as well as on the shelf. Square lines up with the shelf. Clips on. Square set. That's going to give me measurements for where my nock point goes. This line off the shelf represents the bottom of the arrow. I'm then going to measure up using the increments on the bow square, so I put my nock in the proper place. This line represents the bottom of the arrow shaft. If I take a ruler and line it up, you can see the lines match up. The bottom brackets on the shelf, and bracket to bracket, top brackets, are 5/8 apart. They have 16ths in between the eighths on the bow square. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5/8 in between. You can see that. It's 5/8. Now, depending on the width of the arrow, depending on quite a few things, the size of the nock going in, the arrow shaft changes, the width of the arrow shaft changes, where the nock's going to be. You want to figure out what works for your shooting style and what works for your bow. A good ballpark, 4/8, right around there. 3/8 is a good one. I found that my bow shoots well at 3/8 plus a 16th up, and that can be seen if I move my ruler down and I make a straight edge with the bottom of my nock. That's important, the bottom of the nock. See, here's the bracket, 1, 2, 3/8 and a 16th for the bottom of my nock. Shoot some arrows, set it up at 3/8 or 4/8. I like 3/8 and a 16th. I'm right in between the two. Bottom of my nock. Shoot some arrows and see how they fly. That number is a variable. Alright, now for the Kodiak. Bring it up to the rest. Same as before. There's a 3/8. I'm going to go up a 16th. That's my nock goes. So I put my fingers at the bottom of the nock, exactly where it's supposed to be, so I can keep it tight against there. I can change the angle, get comfortable. This knock can move around, but as long as it slides against my fingers, it's where it needs to be. Now I just have to crimp it on. I like to do it halfway at first, make sure it's snug how I want it, the angle. So when I think I've got it, I just check my knock location. See what it looks like. So now's the time to change it. I want to go shooting in the woods and find out that it's not right. 3/8, 1/16. Right on the money. Absolutely perfect. One more detail about the knock. The location of the gap. It's not all the way back. It's not all the way sideways towards my fingers. It's at a 45 in between the two. Makes it a little softer as I'm pulling on the arrow. Of course, the arrow clips in right there. That's all there is to it. It's the whole process. Ready to go. I find that sometimes pliers can leave little burrs on the soft metal of the brass knock. A little sandpaper can soften it up. Just lightly brush the knock if you had to. Just a belt. Literally just spin the string while you do it to soften the knock. If your pliers leave any grooves or marks, it's a beautiful thing. Kodiak recurve ready to go. So that's setting up a traditional bow. The knock point has to interface the bottom with the arrow at a specific place for the arrow to fly properly. That's how I measure it and get it the same on every single bow. The other measurement that needs to be done is the brace height. A good way to get that done without any rulers is a hand and a thumb. Right there. Manufacturers usually print or post their recommended brace heights. It's usually around 7 inches, sometimes 7.5 inches. That's the ballpark. That's all there is to it, to having a consistent shooting with your traditional bows. So the knock point is in the same spot every single time on every single bow, and that's one less variable while you're pulling on the string that you need to worry about. This has been Mitch with the Native Survival School. Be sure to check out our website, nativesurvival.com, and as always, enjoy the outdoors.